Hello good people and welcome to Dad's Draft, especially my one new subscriber, which brings the total to 200, which means that I'm going to do a draft special challenge because I have 200 subscribers, so that will be coming up soon. Anyway, welcome to this Spider-Man Best Commons and Uncommons review, because about, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did a video about what I thought the best commons and uncommons would be for the upcoming Spider-Man set. Now I've watched at the 17 lands data and it's promised. I'm going to see if I was correct, which I try to do every now and then because it keeps yourself, sharp and able to be critical. Anyway, I hope you will tag along to see if I was actually correct. And if you like what I do, as always, click some buttons because it really helps me out. Now let's get right into the first cards, which are part of white. I do the commons first and the uncommons. And the best commons that I thought that would be were these three: Web Up, Spider-Man Webslinger and City Pigeon. Well, it turns out that I was 2/3 right, because only the middle one is not in the top 3. It's actually Spectacular Tactics, and it's a whopping first place, and I didn't expect it that, so I missed out on that. I'm not even sure, because 2 mana instant speed destroy target creature with 4 power or greater is already pretty decent, but the fact that you can put a counter on something, keep it alive, is marvelous, especially in this set which cares about counters having modified creatures. So that's the reason that Spectacular Tactics is first, and it's a very good card. I just didn't expect a trick to be so high into the top ranking. Now we get to the uncommons. The first uncommon is Silver Sable Mercenary Leader. The second was Spider UK, I predicted, and Sudden Strike also in the top 3. And I was correct about all 3 of them. So the uncommon so far, I was absolutely right. Off to the next color. And that is blue. Now with the blue commons, I thought it would be Whoosh, Unstable Experiment, and Spider-Man No More. Well, I was correct about only one of them, which is the Unstable Experiment. The other ones, which are apparently better than Whoosh and Spider-Man No More, are the Phantasm and the Amazing Acrobatics. Now I was tempted to put Amazing Acrobatics at the top 3, but I didn't know how often you would actually use both of them. But it turns out that a strictly better cancel is good enough to become one of the top 3 commons in the set. The best uncommon for blue is the Phantasm. Now, it is a Flying Vigilance 1/3, so I thought that would be not that impressive because there's way better cards. But apparently, the mill ability is very strong with many things in this set. And also, it's a great target to put counters on and to hit your opponent with. So it goes very well into many, many colors. Next up is the uncommons for blue. We have Flying Octobot, Spider-Bite Web Warden, and the Robotics Mastery. And I'm pleased to say that I was correct about all 3 of those. So these are actually the best 3 uncommons for blue. So uncommons so far, very, very good predictions. Now off to black. The black commons that I predicted would be Scorpion Sting, Common Crook, and Venom's Hunger. And I was only wrong about one of them, which is the Common Crook. It's actually not as high, because there's Merciless Enforcers, which is same mana cost. It's also a villain. It's a 2/1 lifelink, so it's only 1 toughness weaker. But apparently the lifelink, and especially the 4 mana activation that you see in the card, are enough to put it in the top 3. Now I think that has to do with the fact that it's a very grindy set, and I didn't expect it to. I thought it would be quicker, but you all know that apparently often the games go to like turn 11 or 12 or 13, and then of course this is a great card to finish it all off. Next one is the uncommons for black. I thought it would be Tombstone, the Spots Portal, and the Prison Break, and I was only wrong about one of them, which is the Prison Break, because Spider-Man Noir is a better card. It has a higher win rate, a 5 mana 4/4 menace. Whenever a creature attacks alone, it gets a +1 counter, and then it connives, which apparently is very strong in the set, because of course counters on things are good, and menace together with getting counters also very, very strong. But then again, only 2/3 wrong. Off to the next color, which is red. Now red was a very weak color. I also predicted that, and it turns out that red is actually terrible to play with. So you should avoid red, and that's also a reason, we'll come up to that later on, why I am wrong on some of these cards, and also on the multicolored cards. Anyway, I expected Romantic Rendezvous to do very well, the Shock and the Electros Bolt, and I was wrong about the Rendezvous. It turns out that the Spider Islanders, which is a Mayhem payoff, is actually better than the Mayhem enabler. So it is better than the Rendezvous. Reason being, I think that with both Connive and all the effects that are on the creatures to discard something, there's many Mayhem cards many creatures that also enable Mayhem. I expected that the Rendezvous would be more needed, but it turns out that there's plenty of ways to discard cards, and so these Islanders are actually better. And this is the top 3 for the best commons. Now to Red's uncommons. I thought it would be Wisecrack, Superior Foes of Spider-Man, Raging Goblinoids, and the Hobgoblin Mantled Marauder. Now I kind of said the last one because I wanted to add it. And I was wrong about that one. It's not in the top 4. The card that is actually in the top 4 is Molten Man Inferno Incarnate. Now the reason I put in the Hobgoblin is because I thought there would be way more ways to discard cards. And of course there are, but there's not many instant speed ways, which is pretty much what you want to do with the Goblin. So this can often attack as a 3/2 flyer, which of course is strong, but you cannot pump it at instant speed many times. So it is too much a build around to actually be dependable enough. And the Molten Man is actually very dependable, because this ramps you. If you play this on turn 3, it will most often be a 2/2 or a 3/3. And of course, you ramp yourself. And you can use that mana later on, and if this dies, you lose the land, but you would still have gotten the extra mana. Now off to the next one, which is green. It's also the last one. Now the best green commons that I predicted were Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary, Professional Wrestler, and the Lurking Lizards. Now in my video I already said that I was not too sure about the Lurking Lizards, and I was actually correct because it's the only one that's not in the top 3. The other card that's actually in the top 3 is Grow Extra Arms, another trick, which is interesting, but the whole idea of a pump spell for 4/4 which you can potentially cast for 1 is very strong, and spiders are all over the place. So this is very often a 1 mana +4/+4 trick, which apparently is good enough to put it in the top 3. Now off to the green uncommons. I said it would be Spider-Man Heroic Horde, Damage Control Crew, and Wall Crawl. And actually I was only wrong about the first one, because Terrific Team Up is actually the highest win rate card in green of the uncommon slot, because apparently there's many ways to get a permanent with mana value 4 or greater onto the battlefield, and then this is an amazing trick. It does so many things. I've had multiple games with this trick where you first go to attackers, then the opponent blocks in a certain way, you pump 2 creatures which will then trade off, and those creatures will deal damage to another creature. You can do so many things with this, so it is terrific. Now off to the multicolored cards. I expected these cards, Gallant Citizen, Pumpkin Bombardment, Spider Manifestation, and Skyward Spider, to be the best commons in multicolored. Well, I was actually wrong about one, and that's the Pumpkin Bombardment, because one of the better win rate cards is Mob Lookout. Now why was I wrong? I think it has mostly to do with the fact that red, black is one of the worst archetypes in the game. Pretty much any combination with red is just terrible. So that's, I think, the reason that Pumpkin Bombardment is below on the list, because the combination of those colors is just terrible in this set. Mob Lookout being quite a solid one, it appears. Off to the multicolored uncommons. I thought it would be Rhino, Barreling Brute, Morbius the Living Vampire, and Speeder, of course, Spider, piloted by Penny. I was wrong about one of them, which is the Rhino. One of the better cards is actually Spider-Man India. Take it with you, whatever you like. It is actually a better card. The Rhino Barreling Brute is very low on the list, but then again, that also has to do with you cannot splash it because it has double red, double green, and red-green is just a terrible archetype. So it has a very low win rate, of course. Off to the next one, which is the other uncommons. I mentioned multiple, by the way. I also mentioned Spider-Girl, Legacy Hero, and the Web Warriors, but apparently the Web Warriors are not that good. A better card is actually Sun Spider, Nibble Webber, because a 3/2 for with flying on your turn, and there's many aura and equipment cards that you can put into your hand. You can just tutor it with this it's a very strong card, apparently stronger than the Web Warriors. And now off to the artifacts, which I mentioned only 2 of. I mentioned the subway train and the Spider-Mobile. Well, actually the subway train is not as good as I expected. I think that's mainly because there's many other ways to also tap your creatures, and you don't need this vehicle especially. I thought it would be more crucial to get your creatures tapped to use the N-Web ability. It appears not so. Another artifact which is way better than I thought is Spider Slayer Hatred Horned. A 2-mana 2/1 goes into any deck simply because it's very easy to cast, and it has late game value in case it dies, trades off, or in case you get it into the graveyard some other way. So that's actually a way better uncommon than I thought it would be. Now to wrap things up, I think I did pretty well. If you add it all up, I think I end on like a 70% correct score, which I'm very much pleased with. I did, however, also predict that green-white was going to be the best archetype, and I was also correct about that. So I think my analysis is somewhat good, but I also noticed that also with the last set, it's hard for me to see how well certain archetypes play out. For instance, there's the modified archetype, which is apparently way stronger than I expected it to be. I think it has to do with the experience so far that I have with modified, because modified in previous sets was just not very strong, especially combined with connive. So apparently it turns out to be pretty good, and I underrated that one. Now thank you for joining. As always, if you like what I did, feel free to click some buttons, and always feel free to leave feedback if you agree, if you disagree, if you have any comments. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.
Grab the card, shuffle dreams in the palms. Dad's drafts roll heavy, we bombing like psalms. Stacks on the table, strategies the flex. Running these lines like counterspell checks. Dad drafts in the zone, pulling rares from the throne. Mana on the stack, magic seeds we've sown. From poppers to planeswalkers, the board gets owned. Welcome to Dad's drafts, your new homegrown. Welcome to Dad's drafts, your new homegrown.